Oh, anyway, let's see here. BBC. Working on password changes, and that's about where I'm at. So I have all the phones changed, everything in the phones are changed, all the cameras, surveillance cameras are all changed. The internet is changed. So everything is changed except for about 180 others. I'm getting ready to change this one off now, so I shouldn't be long with this one. Actually, I don't have to worry about changing them because they're changed, but I can't view the surveillance system with this one until I change the passwords in this system and add the cameras back in with the new password. So, alright, that's what I'm up to next. So, I'll be back. There's a few things I was trying to do today as well. I'm waiting for everything to finish up in there, but everything seems to be slow today as far as the Wi-Fi goes. Everything else is wired using Cat 7, so I really shouldn't have to worry too much about slow. Sometimes it is though. Here's something I'm looking for and I can't seem to find what it is. Let me go back. Come on, here we go. This is, I never dealt with this company, never dealt with any of these products, and I'm a little confused. This they use for modeling. I've got about 5 or 6 websites that sell different things, styrene and stuff like that, for if you want to do modeling, you know, making things. Not that I'm going to get into it, but I wanted to have a few pieces around just in case I need it for something. But now, it tells me it's $2.70, and it's a B10. It basically looks like an I-beam. It's giving me the height, the width, and the thickness, but it only gives me one measurement here. 5/16 ABS I-beam. Nowhere else does it say anything. Here, same thing, 3/8 I-beam. Tells me what the measurements relate to, but it doesn't give me the measurements, so I have no idea. You know, what's the length? You know, you're telling me what the height is, and the width, and the thickness, but you're not telling me what the length is. How long is it? Can the B10 mean 10 inches? Now, it's not going to be 10 feet by no means, not for not for $2.70. 10 inches sounds about right, but I'd like to know. I mean, you would think additional information. Well, maybe that'll help. Well, it doesn't. Oh, okay, it does. It tells me that the thickness, the length is 24 inches. Okay. The thickness is 1.5 millimeter, which is a little over a ½ inch. The width is 4.0, which is 5/32. The height, okay, so here it is under additional information. I jumped the gun, and it is 24 inches long. That's not a bad price for a 24-inch long piece. So now I know what I can do and where and how and what I want to order, because they have all kinds of stuff here. Structural shapes, fittings, tubing, strips, rods. So if you're into modeling or want to make something, you know, small, this is not big stuff, this may be the place to go. I don't know, I've never done business with them. Actually, I have a few places like that under Hobby too. What's this one? Oak Ridge Hobbies, and they seem to sell some of the same stuff. So anyway, this is something I may think about next week, but I do want to, I did save that, didn't I? I think I did. Let me go back. I do want to, however, start a little lamp that I've been talking about for some time. Let's go to Hobby 2 just to make sure I do have it. Yeah, I do. Okay. So now I can delete that. It's just time. You know, now it's the house, so I had the house done. Front of the house is basically complete. It's not bad at all. Well, here, I'll take, oh, yeah, let me take you out. I still have to go out here with a little trim brush and just touch up a little bit. There it is. I think it's pretty good. It's not too dark. It's darker than normal, but I think the contrast between the trim and the color look good. And that's why I wanted to have the tinted primer. Now that latex is Behr's, and it's a pretty good paint. It lasted us quite a few years last time, but again, it's all in the prep. But it isn't, the exterior isn't the best cover paint in the world. So for me to try to cover that with a coat of Behr's latex, I would do 2 coats. I would have to have 2 coats. So speaking of Behr, hey buddy, I'm going in here, bud. So if I'm going to do 2 coats, I might as well just do a good oil-based primer. And then put the finished latex coat on it and be done with it. Well, I'm going to tell you, today's Sunday. I haven't had a chance to call Pettit yet because they're not going to be open until tomorrow. But I'm going to call them and see what kind of line they give. Because I got to tell you, I was watching a couple of their Pettit Gold commercials on YouTube. And if you guys watch them, I'm sure that you can see as well as I can that they're bullshit. The only thing that does make sense and makes it a good product is that you can apply 3 coats or better in a day. So it does have that going for it. But then when they start talking to you how good it is, and if you want to shine, well, this is a gloss, and then you can tell that there's 3 coats, and they're saying 3 coats minimum, 3 to 4 coats actually, to do what it's supposed to do, which is whatever. But it doesn't smell like, you know, like an oil base or a lacquer or a varnish or a polyurethane. So I gotta give them credit for that. However, I don't know what kind of a smell it has. But, the only thing I can really tell, now this has got 3 or 4 coats actually. I'm putting another coat on it. And I'm being kind of generous with these coats. I'm not just, you know, brushing them out. I'm just brushing them even. And some of these are sanded. In this case, this one's sanded right here. This one was sanded in the middle. And this one was sanded on this end, right here, to about there. But they say, okay, you can do 3 to 4 coats in a day. Okay, good thing. You don't have to sand between. Okay, good thing. Then they tell you, you know, it's great for UV, it's a water base, it's this, it's that. And if you want to shine, get one of their varnishes and put over it. Well, if I'm putting this on there because I don't want all the bullshit, why am I going back to varnish to get the finish that I'm looking for? When I can buy a varnish or an earth, a poly, and get the same effect. Now again, I may have to wait a few days. They're claiming that this is actually supposed to soak into the wood and fill all the grain of the wood without taking away from the look of the natural grain, if you know what I mean. And then they took a piece on YouTube. Look at YouTube, Pettit Seagold. I think there's 3 or 4 videos, and they're all by them or West Marine. I didn't see any there by a actual user. And to be honest with you, for the price, I don't know if I'd want to use this, because you got to put at least 2 to 3, well, 3 to 4 coats, they said. Right. Well, you know, West Marine, I think, if I remember right, was charging 49 bucks for this quart. I'm really going to lay it on, just for the hell of it. I had seen it as low as 39, just now on the net. I'm sure you can shop around a little bit more. West Marine is always high. I wouldn't want to keep going back to do something over and over and over again unless it was really going to preserve the wood. You know, if this was going to hold up 5-6 years, keep that wood from going bad, you know, on the boat, well then, you know what, I'd say go for it. Because it's, like I say, a one-day project. However, I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I think it's all sales hype. I think they just decided to make a water-based polyurethane and add a milky color to it and call it Seagold. I don't know. Until I actually talk to them. And then I'll know if they're bullshitting me or not. Because I've dealt with these guys before, because I used to work for West Marine. I was one of their managers for 7 years, so I know how the companies themselves, all companies that they deal with, try to sugarcoat everything, especially to the employees, because it's the employees that are going to sell it. And then they naturally sugarcoat it to the customers as well. But they never want to tell you the truth as to what it actually is. They're only telling you basically what they, well, basically what they need to tell you. And want to tell you. And a lot of them just haven't got the knowledge to tell you anymore or any less, because they've been bullshitted too. But if you look at those 4 little 2-minute commercials that they have on YouTube under Pettit Seagold, you'll hear contradictions within each one. I mean, come on. You know, you're trying to sell a product and you're charging 50 bucks for it? Like I say, I don't think I'd buy it again. I'd have to really see. And you know what? I'm not going to be able to tell just by doing this and having it sit here for the summer. That's not going to tell me. Should I nail it up outside against one of the sheds out back and just let it sit there and see how it puts up with the elements? Well, if I do that, to all fairness to the unit or the wood or the product, I'd have to finish off all the sides and seal it off. And then next year we'll see what it does. We can do that. We can do a long review, alright, and see how it looks next year. Or I can just actually put them out there like this, because the elements are only going to hit the top, and if any moisture gets in, it'll drain out through the bottom anyway and dry. So, you know, because if you're doing wood on a boat, you're not pulling the wood off the boat to do it. You know, you're just finishing the top side of the boat. Your teak, some people will take the teak off completely, all right, but most of the time it's screwed down. or epoxy down, so they're not going to take it off. They're just going to go over the top of it. Alright. I'll edit that out. I just went out to wash the brush. And I wanted to really wash it this time because it said it's soap and water wash up and clean up. So I used a little bit of dish soap and water to clean it up. And when I was doing this, I didn't know if you noticed in the beginning, the brush was a little hard. It softened up right after a few brush strokes, but it was a little hard. So I really cleaned it this time. We'll see what happens. Meanwhile, I'll throw it up there. So right now it's not telling me much about it as far as what it actually is. It's a mongrel in my opinion. It's not an urethane or a varnish. I don't know what you'd call it. I guess it's doing what an urethane would do. You know, kind of fill in and fill, you know, the natural grain so it's not rough. But if you're sanding it down, then you're filling it. That's sealing it basically. So I guess it's doing that. We'll let them dry and we'll see what happens. I'll leave them here for now. But I want to find out what they're comparing this to. What is it? I don't think that's a question that should require a lot of thought on their part. What is it? You know, what is it supposed to be? All right. If you were to compare it to something, what would you compare it to? All right. Other than that, as you can see, New England weather. We had sun about 5 minutes ago. The wife started cutting the lawn, and now look, it's getting dark out there.